Welcome back to Jiu-Jitsu Sisterhood. I'm your host, Ashley, and I'm here today with Brianna Ste-Marie. Say hello.
Hi, Ashley. How are
you? If you guys don't know who she is, she's an ADCC medalist. She's a world medalist, NoGi world medalist. Yeah. Also, all of it, gi, NoGi. She's a freaking badass doing everything. And she's here at the NoGi Summit seminar. I wanted to ask, let's see. For if anybody doesn't know, she's a black belt training out of, is it Quebec or Montreal or both?
Montreal, Quebec, yeah.
Oh, it's Montreal, Quebec.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my geography's terrible.
No, it's fine.
So she's out
basically
of Canada.
Yeah,
Canada. Super cold. So how are you liking the cold over here? Is it less cold than over there?
Definitely less cold. It's actually, when I left Montreal, it was like minus 20. Here it's like 3-4 degrees. So I'm actually I'm on vacation right now.
You're chilling.
Yeah, I'm chilling.
That's awesome. Okay. So then, you're doing this 3-day seminar. Have you ever taught at a seminar like this?
Yeah, I actually just came back from Europe, where I taught a group of almost 80 women in Amsterdam, and that was really special to me to have so many women on the mat together. And I almost came home from that and now came out to Oregon and in a very similar situation. I don't know how many women total, but it looks like a lot. So it's really special to me for me to be sharing the mat with so many women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have that same amount of women at your gym? Not 80, obviously.
Yeah, totally.
Do you have a large group, or do you tend to see the same as the rest of us, where it's 5 girls, maybe 10?
I would say that the situation is definitely better than it was when I started. When I started, I felt like there was, if there was one other woman in the room when I was training, I was super happy about that, Now I would say there's consistently a few women at every session, which is really cool. Definitely though, events like this are extra special though, to get numbers that high in a room together.
Is that why you like doing them, just to have a bunch of women together and learning from each other and also?
Yeah. I love teaching in general. I love teaching women. I love teaching co-ed, whatever it may be. But I think just because of how few women there was maybe when I started. For me, it just shows how much the sport is evolving, and so that's extra special. And then also just to maybe for example, I rolled with a female black belt for the first time when I was halfway through blue belt, I think. And I remember rolling with her, and I didn't know if she was a black belt or not, because it was NoGi. And then I asked her after, and she said, I was oh my God, you're my first, it was super emotional,
So cute, oh my God. No, I get really excited when I roll with black belts too, because it's they're so rare to begin with. So when you get the opportunity to actually roll with one, you're just hell yeah. This is what it feels like. This is the level. So cool. That's awesome. She taught a bunch of close guard stuff. I know I'm terrible at close guard. I think everyone is kind of just falling down, I don't even know how to describe it, but people are not playing close guard that much, and so I know I'm gonna say I'm trash in that area. But those little tips and tricks that you taught to just breaking the posture with those different hand breaks is really awesome. And why do you like close guard so much?
Yeah, I mean,
your favorite position to play from, right?
I will say if I can get to close guard in a match, I'm a happy camper. For me, I got into close guard when I broke my hand as a blue belt, because I was in peak of my toxic jiu-jitsu era phase, where I was I can't possibly stop for 6 weeks while my hand heals. I must keep training. So I was rolling around with this cast on my arm, and that cast was that was the second thing that was toxic in my life at that point. That thing was yellow and crusty by the end of it. It was I was taking Lysol wipes and trying to stuff them down, but let's be honest, it wasn't doing enough. But all this to say, when I was rolling with that broken arm, close guard was one of the few places where I felt I still had enough control that I could actually still kind of play from that position, because my opponent was trapped on their knees in my guard.
You don't have to use your hands.
Exactly. I had one hand, so it was enough to try to make some things happen. And then I was wow, okay, if I can be effective with 2 legs and a hand from here, once I have all my limbs back, let's see where this takes us.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I did not expect that. I did not expect that to be the origin story of your close guard, because I've seen you play a lot of half guard too. So I think you do a lot of Kimura grip, right? From the half guard. I love that stuff. When I saw you doing that, I'm yes, I'm not the only one that does that.
Yeah, that's it.
My coach is always what are you doing? But now it's getting popular, so he can't say nothing. Sorry. But so for our listeners who don't know, even though I'm sure a lot of you guys know who she is, how did you get into jiu-jitsu to begin with?
I started out back in 2016. My dad had always been kind of doing like pretty much every martial art at one point or another in his life. And he was grappling like kind of since the 80s, but you know, at the time there was like not many resources in Canada. They were rolling around on like industrial carpets and stuff. And then actually as a kid, I remember he would like kind of like, he'd be like, oh, this is a headlock and whatever. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know? But then at the time there wasn't really like places for kids to go train jiu-jitsu that like my dad knew about. And then my dad started officially training like jiu-jitsu in 2011, I believe. But at that point, you know, I like had my own interests. Like I kind of like moved on. I was like a teenage girl. I wanted to do my own thing, you know.
I know you did like rugby.
Yeah, exactly. I was like pretty deep into rugby. Love that. And then when I was 19, I kind of was finally like, oh, well, you know, I wouldn't mind trying out something new, you know. And my dad at that point, I think, was a brown belt. So yeah, I tried out a class, like immediately fell in love with it, and that was it. Yeah.
Have you noticed that it's either like you hate it or you love it on that first day? I've noticed there's no like really in between. Like maybe, you know, maybe I'll come back and let's try it again.
Yeah.
It's never that. It's like, oh my god, I love it, or nah, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Or you're just like so curious because you're like, what is this super weird thing, you know?
It's intriguing me.
Exactly.
Kind of. That's funny. So then, what made you decide to go pro?
I would say I just like basically like started choosing jiu-jitsu over kind of every other thing in my life, I guess, where like, you know, I was like, if it was a question of like, oh, you know, going out to see a movie or doing jiu-jitsu training, okay, I'm going to do jiu-jitsu training, you know. And then at first it was just small decisions like that. Then it was like, oh, am I going to go to class or am I going to go to jiu-jitsu? And then, you know, all of a sudden I'm not going to class anymore, you know? Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, all of a sudden I'm not attending my classes anymore. So it kind of, and then everything kind of in my life started turning into like, okay, well, I'm going to work, you know, this waitress job so that I can afford to go to NoGi Worlds or Gi Worlds or whatever, you know? Yeah, so it's like kind of everything started getting it.
So the universe is just like, just go.
That's it. And then finally I was like, well.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah. And then what's like the greatest obstacle that you've encountered, like going pro and this whole jiu-jitsu journey? Or even just in general, like what's the biggest obstacle you think?
I guess if I stick it, if I focus on just like being a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, I think it's just definitely finding the balance in a sport that's like it's very newly like professional, I guess, where like it's very new that people can make money doing this. And I think that there's not the same structures in place as there are in other sports in terms of like guidance on like how to train, like the best way to train, how to like be healthy with your body and whatnot. And then it kind of can sometimes lead us into that old school mentality of like more is always better. You know, so if I'm not getting like results, it's like, oh, I should add in an extra training session. I should push harder. Like I should, you know, maybe ignore these nagging injuries. And I think that, you know, that's led me to have like some more serious injuries. And I think going through all that, it definitely just like trying to find that balance between like knowing that I'm giving my all, but I'm also like respecting my body. I'm trying to do this for like longevity, and all these things, like kind of striking that balance. It can definitely be tricky as someone who's trying to make it in jiu-jitsu, again, just because like if you're like a, you know, I'll say a hockey player since I'm Canadian, you know, but like if you're a professional hockey player, like you have people telling you like, you know, this is the winning structure. Like this is, you have like all your different coaches, like you have your strategist, your skill coach, your, you know, your nutritionist, your strength, you know, all these things, right? Like because there's more money in the sport and it's been around for longer, you know, like with any other professional sport, and that's not really the case with jiu-jitsu. So you're kind of you're wearing a lot of those hats by yourself, which is fine, and you can outsource to people, and I have started working with like great people and whatnot, and they've helped me so much, and but it's not always accessible to everyone. So yeah, I would say like just navigating all that stuff.
Right now I'm like trying to be my dietitian and not working out. My fitness trainer. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I outsourced that one. So, but that's definitely a huge challenge. It's so hard to figure out. Like, it's also like when you're lacking in something. Like how do you even like approach that? To like, okay, I need to work on this area, but then like, how do you balance it out with everything else? Like.
Yeah, that's it. You know, you're like trying to seek out the right resources, and you know, whether it's just to like have more knowledge, like if it's like a technical question, or if it's like something other aspect of your life. And obviously just even making money in jiu-jitsu, like yes, I get paid to fight, but like that money is not enough to like sustain me right now. Like I make more of my money teaching, so then you're like, okay, there's like entrepreneurship involved, there's marketing, there's all these other things as well that you have to like kind of have a handle on. So yeah, definitely it can be a bit overwhelming at times. Yeah.
And then when you feel like you're like lacking in a certain area, or like you don't really like train a certain area, what do you do? What's your approach to make sure that that area does become a little more well-rounded? Do you just like only focus on that one area for a certain amount of months? Do you?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about like skill development, definitely like you're gonna get what you put in, you know. So if you actually want to improve on something, you do have to do like kind of dedicated rounds to improve that skill, and kind of break it down into like, I guess, smaller milestones, you know. Like if you want to develop your butterfly guard, like if you just kind of like try to play butterfly guard during your rolls at random, probably you're not going to get that much better. You know, you have to be like going to like study maybe some of the best people to do it, you know. And then
like study people that do it.
Yeah, and then also just like in training, like actually like, you know, like those situational sparring rounds where you're starting in that position. Exactly, you know, you're having your opponent give you like very specific reactions and kind of troubleshooting, and that's it, exactly.
Like all the different reactions, and then just doing that about minutes back to back. So.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the great track.
Yeah.
At least I am. Yeah. Guys, get your situation over. So I wanted to ask, is that whole Canada ban thing still a problem for you guys in Quebec, Montreal?
So it has been legal now for, I think, maybe about 6 months. So we've started having, very exciting.
It worked.
I know.
Your platform worked. They're like, all right,
I don't want to take credit for that. I mean, I just like spoke out a couple of times,
but
there's like so many people who worked for years, like super hard on to making it happen. Honestly, like thank you to everyone who was involved in like legalizing that, because, you know, there's some of us who are able to, you know, spend the money to go travel abroad to compete, but that's not accessible to everyone, and especially not to like kids coming up. Like parents aren't going to necessarily fly their kid to California to do like a tournament or something, you know. So it's like really cool to have it, for especially to just guarantee that we keep producing kind of like these high level athletes coming out of Quebec.
You guys have a few people from Canada that are already top level.
Totally.
So that's awesome. So happy that that's happened. Yay.
Yeah, I know. Big win for the team.
That's awesome. Okay. So then I guess besides that, I wanted to ask, what's your favorite submission?
I think in NoGi, I like a head and arm choke.
Okay.
And in the gi, I like an X choke from close guard.
An X choke?
Like a cross choke. Everyone has like a.
I know, it's so frustrating with different names, man. It's like I was trying to do a tournament, right? And I did like an overtime with, you know, a Russian cowboy or saddle. Okay, so you knew Russian cowboy. Everyone's like, what the hell is Russian cowboy? I'm like, saddle? They're like, what's saddle?
411?
411? I didn't even know that one.
Yeah, I know. I can go all day with names for that one.
That's cool. It's wild. But I think that's pretty much all my questions that I wanted to ask you.
Cool.
I really appreciate you talking to me. Also, you're super chill. You're super nice. And I guess the last question I have for you is, what's your zodiac sign?
Oh my God, I'm a Virgo.
Nice. So you're very detail oriented, right?
Yeah. I actually don't know like the traits of a Virgo, but I do enjoy watching people be like, no way, or oh, I knew it made total sense, you know.
Yeah, Virgos tend to be like, they like to be busy and like always like seeing progress and doing like setting goals and stuff.
That sounds like me.
Can have a little bit of like control freakness, like when it comes to like certain things.
Listen, I've micromanaged in my life.
Exactly. I'm definitely a micromanager too, and I have Virgo stuff in my chart. I'm like, that's why. God, all makes sense now. Well, everybody, thanks for listening to us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Brianna. She's the sweetest. She's awesome. Keep watching her journey. What's your next thing that you're going to do?
I'm going to be fighting on Polaris for the belt at 125 against Ffion. So I think it's guaranteed to be a pretty good match.
Right.
Yeah.
I wrote that in my calendar. I was like, oh yeah, I did put that in my calendar. How do you feel about that? Because you got a spot in the ADCC main event. Yeah. So that was basically like round 2? Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah, it's going to be the rematch.
Different to prepare?
Yeah, I mean, we're always evolving, you know. So like, definitely, I'm super excited. I think it's going to be about a year, even a bit more than the year since last time we fought. So I think we're both going to come in as like evolved grapplers, and I'm really excited to see how the match goes. Yeah,
you guys are awesome. And then is it because I don't remember, it was like minus 60, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys still doing a similar
So
weight?
now it's 57 kilos.
57 kilos.
Yeah.
Are you having to drop for that?
Yeah, I'm cutting a bit of weight for that one. But yeah, I'm feeling good. Like
you look very in shape. I think
thank you. Track. Yeah, honestly, I feel good. Energy's good, and it's nice also sometimes too to be like kind of disciplined and sacrifice a bit before a fight. Kind of helps maybe, you know, with obviously without going overboard. I hate encouraging people to be like, oh, you have to cut weight. I'm obviously not trying to say that either. But just that, like, I've actually been enjoying, it's been a while since I've cut weight. So it's nice to kind of, you know, be really like disciplined for this camp.
Nice.
And yeah.
Nice. Well, all right. That's pretty much
Cool.
everything.
Yeah.
That's all you want to promote.
Yeah.
Good to go. Awesome. All right. Thanks for listening, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep watching out for her journey.
Ooh, ciao, guys.
Bye.
Awesome.